Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yo, dude, how you doing? I'm
Good,
doing good. How
dude.
you doing?
I appreciate this a lot.
What? No, no worries, dude. Thank you for getting a lesson. Much love.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I know you're like busy as shit. It's for all the stimmy money, my Christmas money. People
Yeah,
want the coaching, you know.
nice man. That's sick. And yeah, no worries. I am busy, but um, I always make time for my stream and like things that go around that. So like this is definitely like priority. So much love. I
Yeah,
appreciate that you're hitting me up with the coaching lesson and fuck yeah.
right on, right on.
Okay, so let me know, as I do with everybody, let me know league, race, and we'll go from there.
Great. So surprise, surprise, Plat Zerg, classic.
Nice.
Um,
I'm already on board.
and I know, right? And could you guess that I'm having trouble with Protoss? I feel like you know, reading like all things Zerg Reddit forum, it's just like ZvP sucks, and it's like
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But I guess my biggest problem really is just like, you know, I was a con like I'd never had a computer for a very long time, and like I played like a lot of like console,
Okay.
and then I finally got a computer, and I was like, I remember I played StarCraft for a little bit, and I used to play Age of Empires a lot when I was younger,
Nice.
and I was like, game. But I think I have maybe 1,000 games under my belt between my two accounts, but a lot of the times I just feel very like lost and sort of like it's very like stop and go,
Yeah.
with the flow. Like I get conceptually how the flow of Zerg is supposed to go, but like in terms of like applying, like what I know from like watching, like I watch a lot of like your stream, like your Bronze PM. I watch a lot of like Neuro stream, some like Lambo stuff, and like watching the.
Uh-oh. I think it might cut out.
Can you hear me?
I heard you. The last thing I heard you said, watching a Lambo, and then it was like, and it just cut out.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I want like even like that stuff or like watching my own replays. It's like, oh, of course, like just do this. But like, especially with Protoss, it's like I look at like the wall when I like my first Overlord gets there, and I'm like, sure,
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like whatever.
There's stuff there.
Yeah, hey, there's a nexus that
Yeah.
is before or
Reconfirm.
there's a
You're just reconfirming that Protoss does exist.
yeah, like God bless that there's a what's it called, the nexus,
Yeah.
um and I kind of like I think I'm at the point now where like I've gotten past the Hydra printer
Okay.
bronze GM build,
All
which
right.
was like amazing, by the way. It was so nice.
Thanks, dude.
But now we're getting into the the upper echelon of play, if you will. And now it's time to get serious, and now it's time to learn. And so I guess just like I have a couple replays, I guess, that I would like want to go over. They're both pretty quick,
Sure.
like 9 to 10 minute games.
Okay.
And so I guess just like kind of going from there, and just like maybe not so much a specific build. I like the reactionary play style a lot. I think it's cool, but
Yeah.
it's also like like I think it's a little like maybe it's a little too open ended for me right now. Like maybe like I think the reason why I like the Bronze GM build was because there was sort of like
In ViBE you coin
an
from
end goal,
rally.io.
Oh my god, dude, $357.
Yeah. That's
Shouts out.
yeah, that's Rob. Rob, thank you so much, man. That's Rob from Rally. He's the dude who helps me run free for alls and stuff. He's a
Dude,
buddy of
shouts
mine.
out.
Yeah, Rob, fucking much love, dude. Sorry, keep going. But yeah, Rob, thank you, man. Holy shit.
No worries. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's like I tried to like prepare some questions, but like I guess the main thing is just like I just feel lost. Like I feel like I look at like what's going on, and like it's hard to tell, like am I ahead or am I behind, or like especially with any kind of cheese, like whether it's like ZVZ, ZVP, ZVT, like all right, like battle cruisers. All right, cool. I have 6 or 7 queens, and then after like I deflect the cheese, I guess it's just like, now what? Like what? Like it's like, and then like I'll hit my like hatchery hotkey, and I've got like 13 larvae just hanging out. You know what I mean? And so, I guess I don't know. I just feel like I said, I just feel lost. You know, like
Yeah,
what is
no,
going on?
for sure. It makes sense. So I guess one thing we could do um, to really kind of like figure this out for you, I guess, is kind of where like you've kind of put me at, where I think would help you the most is we'll give you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at your build. We could talk about it. We can talk about like if it looks like it could be maybe brushed up a bit to where maybe like a different style, or maybe just cleaning up the build the way you're doing it. Could be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically like the concept would be getting a build that is like a branch build, so it opens up with standard play and it reacts to what you see in a way that you think makes sense, and it doesn't have to have like 50 branches, but it could just be like, okay, if they go Stargate, I play a certain way. If they go Robo, I play a certain way. If they go Council, I play a certain way. And it's something could be as simple as that, and it's really easy to read what Protoss is doing off the bat, and that's also what we could definitely spend a lot of time talking about is how to read Protoss and what signs mean, and how not only to discover what they are, and then what they mean. So yeah, I mean, early game scout is definitely gonna be important here for like helping you figure out how to play a reactive style. That's definitely a big part of it. And then doing a style that has like it's like a standard opener that reacts into whatever you're gonna do, and then it goes into like a macro style of your reaction to what you've seen. Sound good?
For sure. Yeah. I think also just like as far as like compositions wise, like
Mm-hmm.
I really love Lingbane Hydra is so nice.
Yeah, that's,
But then like but I'll play Lingbane Hydra one game, and then like the next game I'll play like Roach Ravage or Baneling. And then the next game I'll play like, oh, maybe let's do a spot. I feel like I'm just very confused as to like what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I tried to do like I'm I'm a jack of all trades, like for like different compositions, but I'm really bad at all of those like all of those compositions.
yeah. Well, one huge thing that you can do is you could literally have a reaction in a lot of ways for like for instance against Protoss, it really 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 helps a lot if you just open up with a safety Roach Warren, and this is good against every single Protoss style except for like, it doesn't have to be, I wouldn't say it's bad, but you could circumvent it and go to like Banes against a Stargate. But if it's anything that's not a Stargate, defensive Roach Warrens are amazing. So, like, basically, your style could be something like this. Okay, it could be Ling opener into Roaches to be macro oriented, and then you could go into, like, you don't go Roaches all game, but you have the option to do that if you wanted to. So one game you could be like, you know what, I'm maxing Roaches now. I'm going for like a 7.5 minute max of Roaches, and I'm gonna do maybe even get Burrow move while I'm at it, and do some crazy Roach pressure, or. You could just make your safety Roaches, stop, transition back into Lingbane Hydra. The only time it ever would make sense to go like straight up Lingbane and then eventually add on Hydras, seriously, is if the first time you scout the guy's base, you see a Stargate. And you're like, oh, yep, no, it's a Stargate for sure. Because the only real benefit you have there, if you do Lingbane Hydra, is going for a little bit of excessive Lings if you want to in the early game. Would be, and if you add in some Banes to it while you want to pressure, it's actually not bad. If your opponent's like trying to pressure your base with, let's say, a Void Ray, and he's also trying to take a third base, and you just want to break the third, and you starve him out essentially, like that would be okay there. But if your opponent opens up with like ground focus, it's gonna be a bit rough for you to make that work in that situation. It just wouldn't really go as well, I would say. So in general, like, I think a safety Roach Warren would be like that's a good addition for you. You should never skip it, because if your opponent pressures you early, you can die so many fucking ways without a Roach Warren. It's very important to have it just to not die early. And then if your opponent does a build that doesn't really require you to make Roaches and Ravagers, you don't have to use it very long. You can just kind of go beyond
like
it.
Dump it.
Yeah, you just maybe have a couple to start. Because I'm gonna ask you a question, okay? Here's a question: how many times do you get attacked by somebody who does a lot of adepts?
I mean, like once in a blue moon, probably.
Really? Okay. How many times do you get attacked by somebody who does a bunch of charge lots?
More, I would say more so charge lots than adepts,
Okay.
honestly. I would say like the most I've ever had someone do like adepts, like I've only ever played like one or two adept like timings where it's like 6 adepts are in my base. What's up? But
Okay.
like honestly, a lot of the time, like a lot of my games are more so like just two base all ins.
Okay. And
And
this,
like
do these have a lot
or
of
you know,
sentries involved with it too? Like people do.
no, it's like it's literally just like a couple, it's like 4 stalkers, like 4 immortals, and just like 15 zealots. And it's just like I have no idea. Like I don't know.
Okay. So, against builds like what you just described, uh, anything that's very zealot focused, banelings can work. I'm not saying that they're garbage. They totally can, but so can roaches. And
Mm,
if I were to ask you, and you can be honest here, and
for
because
sure.
you did say platinum, but and this is a safe space. uh,
Oh, I was worried.
no, if you had to like rate your defensive micro, okay, for yourself, do you feel like if it was like then scale like what 3 things would be like bad, like average, or good? Where would you rate yourself in terms of your defensive micro if you could all in by something?
Oh, a move garbage.
Okay. I like your answer.
You know, it's like I'll hit, what's it called? I
F2?
have, well, no, not okay. I'm not that bad. Let's
Okay.
be real.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But I have like groups for like my I have like hotkeys for I have like a queen group. I have my like whatever groups.
Yeah, sure, sure.
But if I have queens, great, they'll help. If not, so be it. GG, go next. But I would say it's not terrible. Or I mean, I would say it is terrible. Excuse me.
No,
Pardon my
it's all good. So like, the where I'm kind of going with this is I do know your goal is to be going for like Lingbane Hydra. That's you said that's kind of like what you like, and we can even add in some other ranges of how your play could go. Uh, but and I know again we are. I don't want to make this too confusing either, just because this is Plat, and I feel like Plat is it is generally a league that you don't want to overcomplicate shit because it's gonna make you struggle longer to get better. So what I'm thinking for you is getting you the basic comp down first, which because this is something that'll help you grow as a player too. Because like for instance, how I said, do you play anyone who does adept timings? And I'm surprised actually you said no, because if you get to like upper diamond, like you're gonna play that
God.
all day. Like diamond and
Oh,
masters, you
fun.
play adept players fucking all the time, and they're like, oh, 2 adepts in front of my base early on in the game, or on top of that, they have like 5 or 7 adepts or 8 adepts like pushing me in the mid game, or they're literally just doing an adept all in all game, and they have like a warp prism of 7 gates and adepts warping in my base the entire time. Uh, like these kinds of, and also, so the point I'm trying to make here is it's not just adepts. Adepts are not only the problem. It's a lot of things that are a problem for Zerg, and one kind of fix all for Zerg is if it's not a Stargate and it's not just like pure Skytoss. So
Hmm.
even if it's a hybrid Stargate, if it's like a couple voids and a bunch of zealots or something like that, is
Hmm.
also something that's been happening a lot more in ladder lately that I've seen personally. Someone who makes
Yeah,
like
I've
two
noticed
voids
that.
and just makes fucking 20 charge lots after.
That's
Uh,
fun.
if you make roaches, it counters. Roaches are like the safest unit to defend all ins for Zerg,
Mm.
because all you got to do is you make roaches and it beats every all in possible as long as you can read it before it happens. Because the key to beating Protoss is not entirely about what you make; it's about how you read it before it happens. So if you read a Protoss and
Mm.
go, "Oh, he's all inning me," and it's like, "How'd you figure that out?" "Oh, because I'm getting killed right now." "Oh, well, that's a little too late, and you're gonna die." But
Yeah,
if you're like,
that's story of
yeah.
my life.
And if you're like, oh, I'm getting all in right now, and you're like, how do you know that? Oh, because I saw this and this in his base, and that means he's gonna all in me. Okay, how much time do you have to react to
Mhm.
that? 90 seconds. Okay, well,
Yeah.
now you're fucking solid, and now for the next 90 seconds you're preparing to be all in, and then he finally does it, and you just crush it. And
Mm-hmm.
Roaches honestly defend everything. They really do early game. And again, you don't have to do. And I know you again. I don't know how dead set you are on Lingbane Hydra, but you can always transition into it out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not necessarily set. Like I said, like earlier, like it's like every game. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just do this
Okay.
now. For whatever reason. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to. I mean, really anything. I'm
Okay.
not like hell bent on whatever build.
Okay.
So
All right, so I guess we could do this from now, because just so we don't, I want to give you some replays too. I don't want to spend the whole time just only talking and theory crafting here. So I guess we'll keep talking, but let's jump into a replay, and I'll kind of break down how you're playing and see what I see from you, that what ways I can further, kind of find out where you're going.
Great.
So are you on BattleNet?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Grandmaster thing is being weird right now.
So it's not open right now, unfortunately. Because the new season started, so it'll be open again on like Tuesday. So you hit the off week, unfortunately. But all you gotta do is, if you join the chat, which I'll run you through it. It's super simple. All you gotta do is in bottom right where your friends tab is, just to the right of it, it's like a little 2 people in a chat bubble icon. You click that, it's groups and events. And bottom left of that, when you have it open, you hit find. And then now, do you have a window in front of you that says find groups?
Yep.
Okay, now so click the chat in top right where you can type in text and just type in the word ViBE. And now you'll have a new list of channels in the middle, and go to the one that has 600 members that has a GM badge on it. It says Vibes Raiders. You double click it, and then let me know when you're there.
Join group. I'm in the group.
Okay, so you're in? Okay, so I see you? No? Perfect. Hell yeah.
Cool.
Easy peasy. Okay, now I'll make you leader. Just you host up the replay, and then you make me, before you start it, make me the lobby host when we're both kind of in the lobby of the replay.
Got it.
And then we'll kind of get to the bottom of this and try and give you some information. And I also want to give you a build. If your build looks really deviated, I want to give you an example build.
Oh, you're gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" How'd you make it to Plat? Like, I feel like at this point, like getting to Plat was great, and it was like I would say it was probably easier than. Like I feel like at this point, I'm like I'm maintaining Plat. Like I'm not climbing at all. It's just like I'm barely, like, I think my win rate versus Protoss last season was like 35%. It was god awful.
Yeah. No worries. Definitely, like, we talk about some shit, you maybe open your mind up on some stuff, you'll be like, wow, okay, didn't know it was that simple. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think Protoss is the easiest race to read, but you have to know how to look for signs of how to read them. And then also it comes down to your own build has to be kind of like flawless, if not interrupted.
For sure.
Oh god, like, see, like right there, oof. That's rough.
I know.
Yeah.
Oof,
I would honestly
terrible,
just as a general tip for all Zergs in general, if you ever fuck up your larva and you're like, whoops, I made 2 overlords, just let it happen, because getting the money back is worse than wasting I said that weird. Wasting the larva, because when you cancel it, you don't get the larva back. You just get your money back. Wasting the larva is worse than wasting your money. Your larva is like your most precious resource as a Zerg player, so if you ever fuck it up, and might as well just let it finish, and it'll slow down your other buildings just a tad, but it doesn't slow down your larva. And your that's the last thing you want to do as Zerg, is like cancel larva here and there and be like, whoops, I didn't mean to make that, let's make this instead. Obviously you don't want to mess that up ever. You want to have it go perfectly, but if you do fuck it up, I would say just let it go. Because now forever you're going to be 1 drone behind.
Yeah. Is there any way that I can follow along with your screen on
unfortunately
StarCraft?
Cannot. I'm sorry.
Nah.
You can only do it in a live game. It doesn't work with replays. But just know that in the VOD of this, if you ever watch the VOD, you'll be able to follow along with me there, but you won't be able to talk to me anymore. I'll definitely I'll make sure, no matter what I'm talking about, I'll make sure you know what I'm talking about, and it's not going to be like, I have no fucking clue what he's looking at. All right.
Sounds terrible.
So first, your build, obviously the Overlord getting fucked up was not great, but otherwise your build looks fine. Overlord movement for your first Overlord is a bit north. We'll talk about it more in a second when it gets closer to the base to make more sense of it. But first Overlord is, it's curved a little bit to the right of where it should be.
Heard.
Yeah.
Do you recommend, so what I do, like when the game actually starts, is it's like, 3 drones to the 1 patch, like the main patch on the I guess bottom left on this map.
Sure.
And then I'll do drone from the hatchery, and then like I'll click the, I guess I click the Overlord off to the side, then do all that stuff, then come back to the Overlord to send it over there. So I guess that's why it's probably all screwy.
Oh, it's fine. Like I would say the biggest priority of everything you'd want to do in the start of the game. First things first. It should be this order. Okay, this is biggest priority to lesser priority. Number one, make a drone. The second the game starts, make a drone, because spin that larva at 000 if you can, or it may be like 0.7 or some shit, like something like a decimal, not even 1 second. If you can do that, you're on point. If it takes you 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds to make the drone, every second that goes by, that's just all your larva that is not being utilized, which sucks. So the larva is definitely priority, and then after that, literally whatever you want to do. That's it. Honestly, do something, but it's whatever you want to do. You could do the order of, okay, now I'll split my drones, and then I'll send Overlord, or I'll send Overlord, then I'll split my drones. And if you send your Overlord, all you gotta do is move it. You don't even have to click the mini map or anything. You could just click it in your base with like your mouse. So you could like green box the Overlord in your base, and you could like you could while it's selected, you could right click just a little bit above where it's going. Like because again, when the game starts, you have the 3 second timer to understand where you are in the map. So when the game starts and like 3 seconds are counting down, you can move your mouse over the middle of the hatchery, so you're getting ready to build a drone. And while you do that, your eyes could look at the minimap and go, where did I spawn? Okay, he's top left on bottom right. And so you know you're going to send your Overlord up left. And then as soon as the game starts, fucking make that drone, make that Overlord move a little bit up. You don't have to do off this. You don't have to drag your screen around. You don't have to move your minimap around. Just literally click to the top of your base, like to the top left of your base, anywhere in that range of area. And then split your drones. So like your screen isn't moving at all. You're like moving over. Like the Overlord has a command where it'll respond to it for the next 3 seconds, and then it'll stop again. But then as soon as you move the drone, you've already made the drone. You could then click the Overlord again, and on the mini map, or like literally if you want to click the screen and go there specifically, the perfect place to go with your Overlord is right about where those unbuildable plates are, like at the base of the ramp. And the reason why you want to do this is because you will, every map, you will always see the high ground ramp in case your opponent does something there. You will always see the natural wall in case he does something there. And you will always see if there is or if there is not a Nexus. And this applies to Terran and Protoss.
Cool.
Because the last thing you want to do is, like, if your Overlord is going like a bit high, let's say, if it's like going to like the top of the natural, where like it's going to like the gas where the natural is or something like that, or if it's going all the way to the main base, essentially, there's so many areas of what you're going to miss as to like, you know, you're just going to, there's a chance you're not going to catch what you're looking for right away, and you have to then move your Overlord a second time to go at a different direction to be like, oh, okay, well, there's where he's building shit. Nice. So that's always what you want to do, and the Overlord going directly to it doesn't have to be a priority. But realistically, if you feel comfortable with the opener of the game, like making the drone, moving the Overlord, splitting your drones, this whole process honestly should only take you less than like 3 to 4 seconds, like doing everything, and then you finally tell the Overlord to go exactly where you want it to go, and you're good to go. So just making sure you always do that for sure, because I do. Am I actually crazy? Maybe your Overlord was going to a good spot. It's not that bad right now. It looked maybe. Yeah, I think I'm crazy.
It always ends up. I'll put it like right behind the gateway, like right in that. Maybe not so much like right by the ramp, but like right behind the gateway. Let's see where it stops. Who knows?
Sure. No, it's okay. The Overlord looks fine right now. It's when you were first going out the map, it looked like it was a bit off, but you're fine. So but I'm glad I said it. So if you're already doing that, or if you're doing something similar to that, just keep doing it. And the idea is always go to that ramp, base of the ramp. It's super important because it gives you all vision of everything. Now let's talk about reading a Protoss. So let's say you're in a brand new game. I'm like looking over your shoulder while you're playing this game, and I go, what do you think he's doing right now? What would your brain go into? What do you think is possible out of Protoss right now, out of what you see right here? Out of what your Overlord sees. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at your vision, by the way. I'm not looking at everyone's vision. I'm looking at yours only off of just this Overlord. So if you hit 2, it's like your vision for the replay.
It's wonky that he's got the core behind, and then there's 2. I would say he went Nexus first, I guess, just from looking at that, or core first, just from this. I always think core first is like aggressive. Is that?
It can be.
Right?
It's either aggressive or it's really safe. It's just think about it like this. It's less economical.
Oh, instead of it expanding first.
Yep.
It's like going pool first in like ZVZ,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Or like it's like, okay, cool. So yeah, I guess like yeah, it's either safe or aggressive. But I always just chalk it up to like, yeah, this is very aggressive. But I also don't know if he has the Nexus first. So,
Okay.
you know.
So think about it like this: if the if the Protoss, if you get to the Protoss's base, and this applies to most maps, okay? If they make, if the gateway is literally done at their wall by the time you get here, so you see a pylon and a gateway, automatically, you know for two reasons, this is not a proxy, and here's why, okay? Like we're talking about the first gateway being proxied, okay? So the first reason is because you have the fact that the gateway is done means that there is no way you could build a gateway right now or like across the map really fast. So you run across the map, build a pylon, build a gateway, and then your second gateway would be like the gateway at his wall. So what I'm saying is like his first gateway is impossible to be proxied because by the time your Overlord got here, it's already done. That's the first thing about it. And going beyond that, you can tell as well that from what you've seen here, the total investment, that it's not going to be something that's like, let's just again go with the proxy route, that it's a lot of investment here right now. So again, this kind of rules out the fact of a potential proxy. So when you ever see like the biggest one of all though is seeing a gateway that's done super early, because if your Overlord got here and you were like walking into his base with an Overlord and you were like, okay, he's got a pylon, he's got a gateway that at 2 minutes it's only 20% of the way done. And then if you don't think that's weird, there's an issue because that means he has a gateway somewhere else. That is totally a fucking misleading opener right there. So this gateway being done is a massive tell that that's a standard or defensive build in terms of like the fact that he's putting his shit on his side of the map. Okay. Second thing about this wall that is very particular and not normal, and this definitely signs to aggression, is definitely the core that's fast. Like again, that could be super defensive or it could be aggressive. It's either way. It goes either way, but it is paired with a second gateway, and the second gateway is also going to be finishing at the same time as the core, and it's going to be close. And just so you know, a core builds faster than a gateway, so this means that this dude built 2 gateways before he built the core. So
oh wow,
that is fucking,
I had no idea. Yeah,
that is aggressive.
That makes sense.
This is fucking aggressive. Like I would not be surprised if this dude wants to make a depth, like the build that most likely would be the case against Zerg at, you know, what would make the most sense here is if he went adepts, and he was making 2 adepts at a time really fast to come kill your drones, because 2 adepts can one-shot a drone, and they're also really mobile.
I think that's actually what happens in this game. I'm pretty sure he only sends 2. I don't think either of these games.
It's what would make the most sense, and the reason why, if you're wondering, okay, well, why does that make sense, and why not stalkers, or why not something else? And the reason why that is because adepts are the only unit Protoss has out of the gateway at this stage of the game. This is before they have all their tech, that is self-sufficient with mobility. A zealot that is slow is a piece of shit. A stalker that has no blink is so easy to kill. A sentry is gonna do nothing if it's not mixed with like a big army. If you have like 2 sentries walking across the map, it's like, what are they gonna do? So an adept has the ability to shade around regardless of upgrade. So that's why and also it's extremely good at killing light units like a drone.
Okay.
So that's why it makes no sense.
This is basically like Protoss's like Reaper or like
100%, yes.
Hellion or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And I'm glad you said that. I honestly feel like it fills the exact same role as a Reaper does at this stage of the game, and the reason why is because even if it doesn't kill workers, which it's really good at, if you're really good at counter microing it, it still scouts everything.
Yeah.
Dual purpose. It gives the Protoss the feeling of going, I know what you're doing, and I can now know if I need to play extra defensive or if I can be greedy, because I can see your build while I'm trying to kill your drones. So it makes the most sense that this would be for an adept opener, and then going further into it, let's watch our Overlord. So you should be feeling like aggression is a thing. Also, his gateways are fucked. And now you see a Nexus that is just started. So now this would say that a good way to read this would be, okay, like it's not going to be all in, okay? So I want to describe the difference here because a lot of people don't really understand what this is. There are 3 ways to attack somebody in StarCraft 2. there is harass, there is timing, and there is all in. All in is literally like you have no real follow-up to what you're doing unless you kind of reset the game for your opponent as well, unless or they die. So either one of you dies, or if your opponent lives, the only way you have a chance to come out of this is if you do so much fucking damage to your opponent that it resets your opponent down to your level or even below your level because you all in. So an all in, a good example of that would be like a guy who has less tech and less economy. So he's like a tier 2 guy on 2 bases versus a tier 3 guy on 3 bases. And the tier 2 guy just fucking goes. And he resets the guy on 3 bases either down to like 1 base with tier 3 tech, or maybe he even kills the tech and some of the economy and resets that guy down to like 2 base tier 2 or something, or like 2 base tier 1. You know what I mean? Like you have to reset your opponent for that to be worth it if you're all in, otherwise you're just dead. So you're really committed. A timing is something that is like it's an attack that you have set up a build up until that exact point in the game, and it's going to attack. It does not have to be all in. Sometimes it can be, but a timing does not have to be all in. Timing is like something that can rotate in and out of whatever it's doing, but it's just a specific attack with a certain tech timing or whatever is going to hit your opponent at that exact moment. And you've built everything up to that point, and then the game goes from there. And a harass is the most standard form of aggression in StarCraft 2, which is exactly what this is. And you can guarantee that's what it is because of the Nexus. So if this was, if there was no Nexus here and there instead was like 4 gates, and let's say your Overlord in the bottom of the map saw a new gate, a brand new pylon with a brand new gate starting at it, and he was chrono boosting his first 2 gates, or he's chrono boosting his cyber core, I'd be like, yeah, this is fucking all in right now. This dude's super aggressive. But harass is just about the Protoss investing, or not even Protoss, your opponent invests into something that will attack you, but it's designed to kill your workers. So harass is always about killing workers. It's really never designed about anything else. Anyone who harasses to kill your units usually doesn't make sense that much. It's usually designed to kill workers, but if army ends up dying as an indirect like casualty of that, then so be it. But it's really designed to like slow down your opponent by killing workers and like throttling their economy. And throttling someone's economy like a Zerg player not only means killing workers, it also means forcing workers to not be built. Because the way Zerg works is if you're harassing a Zerg player and he reacts by going, make lings, I don't want to die, that means you just basically killed drones, because those don't exist now. You made him make lings. So a proper reaction to this is super important. So understanding what it is half the battle. If you overreact to this, the only reason why I'm even breaking this down right now is because I don't want you to see something like this and go, time to make 40 lings or 50 lings and freak out because I'm going to die. Something like this is not that scary. This is like a moment where you'd want to make speed as fast as possible. And then as soon as you have speed started, you'd probably want to go into maybe like 12 lings or like 16 lings max and stop. And the reason why that is...
And that's after... Sorry, is that after speed finishes?
No, so we'll keep going and we'll talk about it more. So
yeah,
what it would be is you want to watch and you want to see what comes out of these gates, and you want to know what you're up against. So we're going to speed it up now. We're going to wait for your Overlord to take a hit. So we see... And I know I can click the gates and I can see what's in it, but I want it to your reaction in the game to be what we're going to see here.
For sure.
So we see... Now this is where shit gets weird, and this is where inefficiencies exist, and this is what people do all the time in lower leagues. This build is now incredibly inefficient, and here's why. What did this guy do? He went for a aggressive opener to play defensively. So this guy is...
the shield battery.
Exactly. The shield battery is only part of it. He made a sentry and a stalker. Now, there is no world where pushing across the map against a Zerg player who has a gas opener with 1 sentry and 1 stalker would ever make sense. Like if this guy moved out across the map with 1 sentry and 1 stalker, it's going to get there like around the time when your speedlings are done. And you could easily just make like 10 lings and kill both of these units with the queen smacking him as well or something like that. And Protoss kills maybe 2 lings and loses a stalker and a sentry, which is a awful trade for Protoss. So this shows you that, okay, stalker sentry, this dude's looking to play defensive. And I'm just going to tell you right now, anyone who is looking to play defensive that invests into army before economy does not know what they're doing. The only time, and this is exactly what this guy did, double gate core before Nexus to then play defensive economy. That makes no
Yeah,
sense.
weirdo.
The only reason why that would ever make sense is if he scouted you with a probe and you were going for like a 12 pool. Because then he has to make extra defense to like quickly to not die because you're being extra aggressive yourself. You are not being extra aggressive yourself though. You are just playing standard. You like did a standard speedling expand. So this is definitely an overreaction by Protoss, and this guy is already behind in the game because of that. So if I were you, I would have honestly been like, okay, get ready to make like 16 lings, and that way when speed's done, I can kill adepts. Like it honestly might be up to like 4 adepts at that point. But as long as I wait until he like tries to engage my base with like a queen there too, good chance you're gonna kill that. But he just made Sentry Stalker, which is like the least threatening thing you could ever see right now. So I would say now don't even make lings. Now it's time to make drones like crazy, because again, there's no way this can attack you right now. He's shown you he's expanding, which means it's a defensive posture, and he's shown you he's making units that have 0 harass potential right now. Because these units would just die. They have 0 self-sufficiency. And now we see a Twilight Council. So tell me, now I'm going to ask you another question here. I want you to walk me through what you think seeing his base as it is now, as your Overlord's about to die.
So I can actually, this game I think I played this game it was yesterday or the day before, and I can tell you exactly what I was thinking. So I saw the Twilight Council, and I thought I don't ever play Blink Stalkers ever. I very rarely have ever played against Blink.
Okay.
It's always Charge Lot. So my first thought was like, this is Charge Lot, especially after like, you know, I mean, I don't want to like, you know, gas myself up and say like, especially after not seeing any adepts. Wasn't thinking that. I just was like, oh, this is like Charge Lot, because it just was like everybody plays Charge Lot. Like that's just what people do.
Sure.
So my first thought was like, this is going to be another like weirdo. Like there's just going to be a lot of zealots in the composition.
Sure.
Like you know, 3 or 4 minutes down the line.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna lie. I was about to ask you a question because everything you were saying to me is relevant. It's fine. I had no problem with anything you said. It all has relevancy, but none of it was actually relevant to what you should react to against it with Zerg until the last like 3 words of that sentence, which is it's not going to attack me until like 3 minutes from now.
Yeah.
So the second you saw that council, all that should tell you as a Zerg player is, okay, he's either going DTs, which you haven't discovered yet. You don't know if he's going to go Charge Lot. You don't know if he's going to go Stalker. You don't know if he's going to go DTs or Adepts or whatever. It just means that he has all these options on the table, and as the game progresses, these options will come more into fruition, and you'll figure out what it is over time. But what it does mean is that he is not going to attack you early. This build he's doing has now fallen into the timing realm of Protoss, which means he's setting up for a timing with gateway units, which you can clearly tell is going to happen now. It might be all in. It's not like I said earlier, timings can be all ins based on how players like to play it. If you're the kind of guy that's like, I'm going to do a timing and take a third behind it, that's a timing and you macro out of it. Or if you're the kind of guy that's like, I'm going to do a timing and just never stop making units at that point, that's an all in. So you don't know what it's going to be yet, but you do know you have plenty of time to react to it. So the best thing you can do now as Zerg, again, in this situation is get off of the unit hotkey, like get off of making lings, get off of making banes or roaches or anything, and just crank out a fuckload of drones for the next like 2 minutes, or like more like 90 seconds from now. And I'll give you a tip too. The magic number which we're gonna come to in a minute here with Protoss is 5 minutes. That is the magic number that tells you everything about Protoss. And he even showed you a third gateway before your Overlord died. So that's sometimes players like to do things where they're like, I'm gonna make it look like I'm building a Twilight Council, and then cancel it and your Overlord dies, and they're like, I'm metaing you. Yeah, I'm playing the meta game. But the fact that he just made a gateway as well, that's if he was doing that and he's like, I'm gonna meta you, that's such a waste of resources. So every additional thing he shows you, it seems more likely that he's gonna invest into it. Now, going from there, I would say for you now, we haven't really looked at your build honestly very much. We'll definitely talk about your build in a second. But the best thing you could do right now would be scout more of what's going on around his base. So you have speed, and I actually really love your second overlord that just saw 2 adepts cross it. It's great to have that information. If you noticed it, that would be a perfect time to make an additional. Now that you see adepts behind this, making an additional couple lings to kill the adepts would not be a bad idea. But the point I was going to say here is now that speed's done, if you do a speedling opener, which is what you're going for, it makes you have to scout, otherwise it's pointless. Like speedling is something that is so larva inefficient if you gamble with it. If you're just like, I don't know what he's doing, and we'll make whatever. Because if you don't make enough lings and you get attacked, you're gonna die. And if you like, what's up?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You go. By all means, you can interrupt me whenever. I don't want you to feel weird about interrupting me. I want you to ask me questions.
You're good. I was just gonna say, I think that's really the issue. Is like, the playing reactionary has such a relies so much on like scouting, and I think that like direct relationship of like not getting, I mean, I'm plat, it's like I'm gonna tunnel vision, like I'm gonna like send an overlord and just be like, here you go, dude, like I guess I'm supposed to scout at this time, like whatever, and then like not look at it or look at it too long. But yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely right about the what's it called, the larva inefficiency. I think is what really shoots me in the foot.
Yeah, because if like, or go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because like, I mean, you'll probably see here in a minute, like, I would say probably in the next, I don't really remember I remember a little bit, but like a certain part, I would say at like 4:30 or let's say like 4:30 or 5 minutes, I'm probably floating 1,000 minutes, just like bet money on.
And I feel like it's because 2 adepts come to your base. You probably make a bunch of lings as a reaction once you're getting attacked. You try to focus on the adepts to kill it, and then your money goes high while you're fighting adepts.
Oh, let's see. Let's gamble. What's the high and low?
Yeah. So you're right. So one of the things you should definitely do at this stage, if you're gonna go for a speedling style, is you want to now have a ling kind of where your overlord is, like at the 3rd, have a ling at the other 3rd, and look at his doorway. If you don't do these things, speedling styles don't really have a lot of merit. Like that's the power of speedling styles, is just because you open speedling does not mean you have to open lots of speedling. Opening speedling, the real power behind it is its information. It's the Zerg's version of like a Reaper. So like you poking the door and running away, what kills your ling? Or like honestly, try not even to lose the ling if you can. What attacks your ling? Is it one unit? Is it that the one stalker that he made early game, is that the only thing he has? Like every time you poke the door and you saw a council, then if the answer is yes, I'd be like, okay, maybe this is more in the DT department. If you poke his door and you're like, oh, he's got a stalker, a sentry, and like 4 zealots, well, maybe that's charge lots. If he's got a stalker and an adept and he's got like 4 adepts, maybe it's the adept department. If he's got 5 stalkers already, maybe it's splitting stalkers. Because again, you're kind of like putting pieces together with information that you have, which is, you can tell he's doing 2 bases. He went council first. Council is always a form of a timing or a harass. Or it could be all in even. It's any of the 3, but it's definitely going to be gateway pressure essentially. It's not going to be. He's not going to make a council first and then show up with like 6 void rays, or like 5 immortals. And if he does, here's the thing: if he does, you have to understand time as well in StarCraft 2, because this is also something that's really hard to teach people. I would say. I'm gonna try to explain it, but hopefully this makes sense. If your opponent, let's just say you played this game and you went, no, ViBE, he does attack me with like 4 immortals. So, I don't know if you're saying if what you're saying is true, because yeah, sure, I scouted a council, but he does hit me with 4 mortals, so that's still a possibility. But the thing about that is there is a certain threshold of time for everything in StarCraft 2 to make sense. So, for instance, for a council to make sense, this dude needs to attack you right around 5 minutes with something. Otherwise, it means that he is not even taking advantage of what a council can provide. Around 5 minutes is going to be his timing with this build now. So if he attacks you at 7 minutes, which is much later than 5 minutes, but you're like, but there's like 4 mortals in it. Well, that's clearly possible because it means that his build makes no sense, and he's doing a super delayed immortal attack at 7 minutes when a real he should have just gone for a fucking robo first and an immortal attack in the first place at like 5 or 6 minutes. Like, time is super important in this game. And if you just disregard it, your opportunity to kill your opponent always goes down. So, because if you think about it like this, if your opponent's attack, let's just say hypothetically attacks you between 5 minutes or 7 minutes, it takes you 30 seconds per larva inject, and you have 3 hatcheries doing it by that point in the game. That's a difference of 6 larva injects worth of time, because it's each minute represents 6 larva injects, because it's 2 injects per hatchery, and there's 3 hatcheries. So 6, because it's 2 injects per minute, 3 hatcheries, so it's 6 injects per minute. If you have 2 minutes that goes by, that's actually 12 injects for like a 2-minute difference. And 12 injects of larva is 36 fucking larva. Like that's like, so if you waited like 2 extra minutes to do a timing, and your opponent just injects alone has 36 more larva, that's fucking insane. Like your supply is going to be like 80 supply higher than it should have been otherwise, or like 70 supply higher than it would have been if he just did his timing at 5 minutes. So this is where it comes down, is important if you know how to, first of all, set up an economy, and secondly, understand what is capable out of your opponent. So I'm going to kind of just go forward kind of quickly here and see your reaction.
So I know we're,
No, and no worries about time. It's all good. But you 2 adepts just came to your base, and you just made 10.
I don't know.
What's up?
I said I had no idea what I was looking at. I'd be interested to see what I was actually like staring at while they just kind of slipped by. Because I saw them from the second Overlord, and I was like, "Here come the adepts!" And so that's why I brought down the second queen, and then I pulled the third queen also, because it was like, "Where are those damn adepts?" And then my lings just ran by.
I think it's because you went to attack the adepts themselves and you ignored the shade.
That's probably why.
And it's fine. It's not the end of the world. That's it's okay. Like right now, what you're doing is you're building Evo Chamber, you're building Roachworm, you're building your gases. You're just building stuff. You're making a layer now, and you actually your creep teamer got attacked, so you went to go attack the adepts, and then then they shaded past, and now you're like, oh, now they're in the main base. I don't know. That's fine.
That makes sense.
But I'm watching your production right now, and so like this is kind of rough too, right? Obviously, like you're losing drones. The last thing in the world you want to do is fight the adepts with your drones, and now you're actually ignoring the adept. So this is a moment where this is just a over exaggeration of what the adept is capable of, for instance. And there are 2 things about that. One, we'll just talk about the micro of this fight really fast, okay? So hostility is hostile units are a thing inside StarCraft 2. And when your drones are on mining command, or when they're on stop command or move command, anything that's not attack command, they are neutral. They're not hostile. Lings, no matter what they're on, are always hostile. Queens are always hostile. Your drones attack the adepts to try and kill them, obviously, but up to this point, you have now already lost 7 drones to 2 adepts, which is pretty rough. And your lings were also in the area. We'll go back to like right when it was happening. So you attack him with your drones, and right now he has to focus fire your drones to kill drones every time. You attack him with your drones, but you still attack him while your lings are here. The best thing you could have done right now, if you did pull your drones like that, would be the second your lings are here. If let's just say you lost a selection of your drones, and now you were like, I got a green box all my units because I don't have a hotkey for my drones. I only have a hotkey for my lings, but I want to tell my drones to mine minerals. You could green box your entire mineral line. You could hold control and click a drone in the bottom control group, and then right click a mineral patch, and it would tell only your drones to mine minerals again. And it would de-hostile your drones, so that your lings not only would take all the damage unless you focus fired, because the lings would be the hostile ones taking the auto attacks of the AI. Secondly, your drones are fully surrounding the adept, and drones do about a little less than half the DPS of a ling at this point in the game, because the drone hits over 1 second, and it does the same hit a ling does, but a ling can hit a little bit more than 2 times in the time a drone hits once. So a ling hits like 2.1 times in the time a drone can hit 1 time. So it's fucking insane, like the DPS you're losing here by having your drones surround the adept. And the only time a ling is really getting the surface area on the adept is when the adepts kill another drone and suddenly a ling can replace it. So your lings not being able to DPS here. Yeah, like you're killing the adept super slow by having your lings run around in circles behind your drones.
Yeah, I think it was because I heard like, you know, it's all these like things that like I hear from like video, you know. I think it was because like, well, it's better to lose drones than it is mining time. And I'm like, all right, great.
Who the
So
fuck said
like I'll
that?
just attack. Oh, no, never mind. It's better to lose mining
No,
time
you're
than
all
it
good.
is drones. Excuse me. Sorry. My
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like, well, just attack the, but like what you're saying about the like, yeah, like if you're, you know, if your drones are surrounding the adept, like how are you, you know, how are your actual like fighting units gonna even,
sure.
like, what are they gonna do? You know?
So yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. So like I mean, your drones are definitely limiting your DPS here. But secondly, it's two part. Like you have both adepts. No, like they're both a little bit more than half dead. One's at 49 out of 140, and one is at
hmm
57 out of 140. So 70 is literally half of the HP. And
hmm
your lings right now could very realistically kill both adepts before they shade away. Like this is not much time that needs to be. Like if your lings were fully surrounding an adept, it would take all of about 1 second for the adept to die. At this point in time, and you got 5 seconds to kill him. So when you killed one adept here with your drones and you ran your lings away, if this guy cancels that shade, it fucks you so hard,
Oh
because
my god.
it this is just more drones that could die. And he actually lets it finish, and he goes right into your queens, and you know I imagine you probably killed the adept now. You do, but
There
he
you
could
go.
have probably killed an additional like 2 or 3 drones again on top of that by having his adept against the
Oof.
wall, just killing your drones. So I don't want to get too deep into micro here, because micro is honestly not going to really be the overall problem for you. It's just going to be the fundamentals of the build. But this is where a build like Speedlings becomes kind of complicated in general, whereas you need to start kind of like really paying close attention to things like that. Like all these little
hmm
skirmishes and all these little scouts are super important with the Ling style. And
hmm
now beyond this, after the adepts are dead, that definitely slowed you down because you just lost 8 drones in total. Getting a
Oof.
scout into his base now is mandatory. It is required, and you're still not doing it. And now we are at the 5 minute mark. That is super important. Notice how there is no third base for Protoss.
Yeah.
This is the moment. Look at his upgrade on his council. This is the moment where he's going to have something as a follow up to his council. And I'm going to tell you, this guy's build is also super awkward. Um,
Plant rocks, man. I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's he's going 3 gate Templar Archives, so and no third. So it's just in general, this is the moment when a Protoss, if they ideally, if they don't have a third, you would want to be powering up yourself.
Okay.
So
And you're talking about like army wise, not economy.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Here, no, you're all good. Okay, I'm kind of trying to think about how I want to do this, because this game, I'm going to tell you right now, this game is so derailed.
Yeah,
This
it's
game is
wonky as hell.
fucking
It's
derailed as hell.
it
It's
makes no sense.
the biggest problem that you've had this game is that there's it's a couple parts. Number one is that the scouting was very limited. It was Overlord initially and then nothing.
hmm
So that definitely needs to be, if you're going to go for a Ling style, you have to use Lings to scout. That has to happen. Because
Okay.
right now you have zero information. And if I were again, if I were sitting next to you playing this game, I would be like, you're not giving yourself the tools to understand if you're about to get all in or if your opponent's going to macro some more. Because again, the third base is a massive tell, as if just like how when I said earlier, remember how when we first started talking about this, and we saw 2 gates and a core, and I was like, well, what if he went for like 4 gates, or what if he went for a nexus at the natural? That is a humongous difference as to whether or not you should realize if you're getting all in, or if you're going to get harassed. Same thing is said now at this stage of the game about the third base. So if you're worried about getting 2 base all in all the time from Protoss, it means that you probably have zero indications as to when they take a third, and you're just making drones, and you're like, wait, what? You're attacking me? I'm dead now. And it's because you're never
Yeah.
understanding when they take a third base.
hmm
Just to throw out numbers out here, I'm gonna give a bit of a extra leeway for Plat here, because I don't think timings are perfect here. But in general, in Platinum, I would say if your opponent has not taken a third base by like 5 minutes and 40 seconds, you better be making units at that point, because you're going to get all in.
Yeah, I think there's definitely been a lot of times where I've like looked at my replays and it's like, oh, how did I die? And then I
Yeah.
look at like, oh, I have 3 bases fully saturated and they have 2. And then they attack me with like 100 supply worth of army. And I'm like, where did this even come from?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, because you've been sitting on like 3 bases just making drones, and they've been just building army. You
Yeah.
know.
Like, there's a couple things about your build that are like we'll talk. So let's actually shift gears now.
For sure.
Let's talk about you more than
Okay.
your opponent.
For
just
sure.
just because the main reason why is because we focused a lot on the opponent already, and you know, hopefully some of the stuff we talked about makes some sense, and you know, that's things you can take away from this. But in general, if your build is all over the place, it doesn't matter how well you can read your opponent because you can't handle anything properly anyways. So talking about your build now, here's an example. Your build is rushing gas like a fucking maniac, and
Yeah.
like the question would be, what is it for? So, for instance, you have a main mineral line that has 15 out of 16, and I know it's because you just took the gas. You did have 16 a second ago. Your natural has 13 with double gas, so you're about to be on 4 gases with your main and your natural both being undersaturated, and your third base only has 6 about to be on it. This is way too fucking fast on the gas. A general build for what you should be aiming for should be 1 gas until you're at, even beyond the drone count you have now, 1 gas. You should be on 1 gas until you have 16, 16, and like 8 on your third. And then you take gases 2 and 3. And then you don't take gas 4, 5, or 6 until you're fully saturated on all 3 mineral lines. And even then, you're still making drones. So like the concept is you're not ever undersaturating. You're making gases and excess with excess drones. You're not ever ripping off the mineral lines and replacing mineral lines and ripping off mineral lines. You're trying to just saturate a mineral line and leave it. Like, let it maintain. Because if you don't do this, it will give you money problems all day with overlords, with hatcheries, with queens, with units, with everything. Because minerals, no matter what, if something costs gas or minerals, the only time you'll ever run into a situation where something costs gas over minerals, you should only be making units like that when you're done making drones. And those units are things like a lurker. They're things like a infester. They're things like a viper. These are things that are units that are super late game. They're not things that you should be like at 4 minutes. You're like, I'm making some infestors. You know what I mean? Like it's So like doing gas priorities before you actually need a gas priority, when you're in the mineral priority phase of the game, that's what fucks everybody's build up that does not understand how that's how it goes. So what I want to do is I'm going to kind of just quickly breeze through this, and then I want to give you a build that will ideally give you a more of like an understanding about what's going on.
Watching me play is just kind of cringe.
No, dude, what are you talking about? Don't shit on yourself. You're totally fine. Don't be like that. No, come on, you're fucking great, dude.
I think what's it called? You know, I think I remember watching one of your the recorded VODs that you had posted on your YouTube channel.
Sure.
And I think probably one of the best things that I've heard from someone that you've coached prior was that like that mark of like, all right, I have some bases saturated, like now it's time to get tech. Like that moment is so like APM taxing where like, you know, I'm trying to do like, you know, I have like, all right, 20 larvae just hanging out.
Yeah.
And then like, because you're just trying to build everything enough. Like if you're not fast enough building things, you're just like, you know, you're just screwed. Like your injects are messed up, your creep thread is all wonky, like everything is just out of whack.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I actually have an idea right now. I want to do I'm going to actually do something I've never done before because of what you're talking about right now. I want to do a test with you where I want to show you something that you might not do, and you might not like the game. I'll just say this. I've noticed whenever I watch people, whenever I literally watch people play and I tell them to do something, they always try to do shit like it's like it has to be perfect. And so for instance, if I say build a hydrogen, someone will be like, they'll put their mouse in the middle line and they'll be like, okay, I'm like going fishing right now. I got to catch one drone, click it. And then they're like, okay, click the drone. And the process of clicking a drone takes like 4 seconds. And I'm like, who gives a fuck? Does not matter. Like exactly. Like just build a fucking like a hydrogen. Just green box 12 drones and build a hydrogen. It's not going to tell 12 drones to do it. It's going to tell one drone to do it. The closest one to it, essentially. So what I'm going to do right now is I want you to really quickly look at my stream, and I'm going to I'm going. Wait, what the hell? Select a player. Okay, just kidding. Oh, we're good. So I'm gonna actually have you do something after I do something. I'm gonna take the Protoss. You're gonna take the Zerg. Okay. I'm actually gonna resume Premier play on this one.
Okay.
And just look at the stream for 1 second, and watch this. Okay. So if I'm like, let's just say hypothetically, or before I tell you this, are you comfortable with using a keyboard first of all? Like, can you type accurately?
No.
No. Okay. So
like I said, I was, one of the main problems with this, like especially I think, has been the fact that I was a console player for so long.
Okay.
Where like the first I would say from bronze to like gold 3 was like typing.
No worries.
Like was actually So like I mean I'll give it a try. I'm more than willing to like try whatever. Like so I'm definitely down for.
I'll have you do easier ones. So I won't tell you to build a bunch of diverse shit. So I'll just say for you it'll be, you have a layer. So it's gonna be, and I want to watch you do it. So actually I fucking can't. I didn't really think that far ahead. Or yes I can. I can actually go to the replay and watch you do it. So hold on 1 second, okay? I'm gonna have you build a spire, and I'm gonna have you build a pool, and then I'm gonna have you build a spire. I'm gonna have you build a pool. Like I'm gonna have you literally build like 4 pools and 4 spires, and I'm gonna and the way I want you to do it is I want you to you can do it any order you want, and to do it the fastest I would say, do 1 2 3 4 pools, do 1 2 3 4 spires, okay? And I want you to just build it on your fucking creep anywhere you want, and to make it go faster, it would be like probably all on the same camera. So
can you see what I'm doing right now?
No, I'll be. Tell me, like I want to. I'm gonna test you with the timer here, okay? But first, just look at the stream really quick. I want you to watch an example of me just doing it really fast. Let's just say hypothetically, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build, fucking. Do I have a forge with this guy? Yes, I do. Maybe. Let's say I'm gonna build 5 cannons and 5 batteries at my third base. I'm like, okay, put some cannons and batteries at it. This is what I see a lot of times when I see a player who is newer to the game try to do it. They'll go like this. Be like, all right, grab that probe, and then I'll be like, okay, cannon, and they'll like wait for it to build, and they'll build a new one. Cannon. Yeah. Cannon. And then okay, now let's make a battery. And they'll be like, so you said how many batteries? 5 batteries. Okay, there's 2. There's 3. And then this process takes this person like 25 to 30 seconds. And now I'm going to do it the way I want you to try to do here in a second. And it would be like this. Let's say you're looking away. And I'm going to be like, all right, I want you to build fucking 5 cannons and 5 batteries. It would be something like this. All I do, I'll run you through what I'm about to, then I'll do it. I would go to the base. I would green box probes or a probe. I don't give a shit. I would make the command for making the building. Get it in my mouse click. I would hold shift and I would just click all over the place. And then I would let go of the shift, which would let go of the building. I would hit the other building. I would hold shift and I'd click all over the place again. And it would be something like this. I'd be like, cool, let's go to it. Cannon, 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 cannon. Battery, 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 battery. I just
I get what you're saying.
Just fucking get wild with it. Don't actually be like, okay. And then people will be like, I'd be like, okay, build like 4 gateways. And they'll be like this. Okay. Gateway. They'll be like, oh wait, gateway. They'll be like, okay. Gateway. It's like it has to be perfect. Yeah. Gateway. And you're like, no, who gives a fuck? Just be like, make 4 gates, okay. Gateways. Yeah. Just fucking click the mouse and just do it. So what I want you to do now is I want you to just test yourself. Like, you don't have to do this while you're in the middle of a game, but I would say definitely start working on this. Stop trying. Like, if you feel like you're perfect, if you feel like you try to do shit perfectly, stop doing that. Play sloppy as shit, and start flailing your hand around the screen more, and just like get shit down. So like, for instance, if someone was like, put those 5 shirts in the drawer, instead of folding up every shirt nice and neat and stacking them in the drawer really nice and OCD, you just grab a fistful of 5 shirts and you throw it at the fucking dresser, and it falls into the drawer and you close it. You stuff it in, and you just close it. Yeah. Just get fucking sloppy when you build your build.
Like normal.
Yeah, like just do that, and go like right now. Go for it, and I'm gonna watch how you do it. I can't see it right now, but.
What do you want me to build?
So I'm actually gonna fly Phoenix at your base. I want you to like in your main base, just build like 4 spires and 4. Because the reason why this is hard is because it's different tech. So one's gonna be V, one's gonna be B for hotkeys, but just build 4 spires and 4 spawning pools, and do it like where my Phoenix is. Do it as fast as you can right here.
I stalk through the stars on the wings of justice. I will comply.
Ah!
Understood. I stalk through the stars.
Oh shit! Wouldn't you know it? I think I do. I still. It's like VS.
Exactly.
VS,
Exactly.
you know
That's
what
why
I
it's
mean?
a little confusing,
Yeah.
right? But this
Yeah.
is like a drill that I want you to practice. Okay. I want you to do this kind of shit in your own games when it's like, okay, time to build shit. Test yourself and be like, how fast can I do it? And don't be like, unless you're literally making like a wall in your doorway. Like, it's like, I'm going to make Roachborn Evo in my doorway, and it needs to have a 1 grid opening. Unless you're doing something like that, don't fucking just do it. Just be like, just throw it all over the place. It's just like, it looks like shit. Well, who cares? Because you got it down fast. Because, like, the worst thing you can do is waste 15 seconds being like, needs to look good in my base. It does not need.
That's sort of the best part about Zerg, right? Is that there's not the like SimCity aspect of it, right?
But okay, so do it the same way when you move units around. Like, if you're gonna fucking if you for instance, what's it called? If you're okay, now look at the stream again really quick. This is another, I guess, more of a Zerg focused example. If I'm like, okay, I want you to defend your base at your natural, okay? So but here's an even better one. This is even more realistic. I want you to scout the map. Okay? I'm like, okay, go scout the map. So some people might do this. They might be like, okay, scout the map, you say? Okay, I'll grab 1 unit, and I will now click there. Okay, now I'll go back to my army, and I will now click that. I will now click here. I will now click there. It's like, no. Fuck that. Who cares? Like, doesn't have to be perfect. Just get the area. Or even better, let's say I told you, like, to check the bases. I'm like, okay, does he have a hidden base? Go find the base. And if you're like, click, like, again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'll flail my fucking mouse around on the bases right now, and I'll go like this. If I'm going to scout all over this base, all the way to this base, so I'm going to scout 5 bases at once, I can be like this. I go back over here, I greenbox my whole fucking army, and I go, click, hold shift, click, shift up, zealot out, I'm done. So what I just did is I just clicked somewhere around the area of the expansion. I could have, maybe I clicked up near the gases, maybe I clicked the bottom of the middle line, maybe I clicked the bottom of the natural, maybe I clicked the very top of the natural. I clicked somewhere in the area, but I clicked every base with my whole army. I didn't have to also waste time clicking 1 zealot. And then while my army's already doing it, I could go down to my subgroup, which is really easy because there's like a lot of zealots. So if I don't click the exact red one and I click any of the green ones around it, it doesn't matter because all I'm looking for is a zealot. Or even if I get a stalker, it's not the end of the world. It's whatever. But ideally, we're going to send a zealot. And then I shift one out and I rebind it. And now I'm good. It's all about just like doing actions. They might seem a bit sloppier because again, you're not like, if I'm like, if I tell you to click on the mini map, so again, ideally you're still watching the stream. If I tell you click on the mini map where the Phoenix is, I don't have to time it to be like I got to get that dot exactly in the middle. It could be like, okay, click the mini map where the Phoenix is. If I click over here, I still get it. If I click up here, I still get it. If I click down here, I still get it. Like, just it's a bit more forgiving than being exact on where you got to click. So this is again, I feel like everyone who plays slower struggles with this mentality of they try to make things more exact and they don't have to be exact. They just need to fucking go for it. The only things that need to be exact. So let me say it like this too now. Okay, there's another part to this. Mouse hand. So the part of it, there is a part of StarCraft which does need to be exact, by the way, and I want to explain this. This is something, if you're not comfortable with this, I'm gonna recommend you go to this website right here. Literally.
Is it the aim trainer?
No. That doesn't need to be perfect. It's this. Type Racer. Fucking learn how to use your keyboard better. Because if you ever feel like you're like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Where's my key? Where is it? You need to fucking practice your typing.
Dude, I love that so much.
Because your mouse hand does not need to be perfect. Your mouse hand can literally, you can hold your mouse like this. Okay, I'm holding my hand up to the camera right now. You can hold your mouse like this, okay? Let's go full screen. Mouse can be like this. Mouse can be like this. Mouse can be like that. Mouse can be like this. Mouse can be like this. It can be like that. It can be like this. Like, I don't give a shit how you hold your mouse And if you're like, if you use it like this, like if you're just like, or if you actually grab it and you properly, wait, did I just close my stream? No, I didn't. Okay. Whew, I thought I closed my stream for a second. If you're very accurate or not very accurate with it, I don't give a shit. Mouse can flail all over the place, and it's forgiving.
Yeah.
The only thing that needs to be exact is if I'm like, build gateway, build battery, build forge, build cybernetic score, build cannon, build Stargate, build a fucking RoboBay, build a Robo. Those are all hotkeys that I should know. And if you don't, so number one, learn the hotkey. Number two, learn where the key is on your keyboard. So if I go, if I want to like build a Robo, VR, I click it. If I want to build a Stargate, VS, click it. I just, your keyboard hand needs to be accurate, so you need to know at least the keys on the left side of your keyboard. Your mouse hand can be as inaccurate as you want it to be. The only thing realistically for Zerg that needs to be accurate, which you shouldn't even worry about right now, honestly, it's not even. Were you about to say larva inject? It's not larva inject. It's if you ever find yourself, because the hatchery is fucking, it's like hitting a barn. Like it's a massive building, and it's very forgiving where you click around it. It's not being accurate when you click. What's up? Sorry, say it again.
Speak for yourself, GM.
Okay, it's a big building though.
No, I know.
The only thing that requires accuracy for Zerg specifically is when you are in a ZvZ and you are physically trying to target fire banelings from your opponent. Like legit, that is the only thing that requires accuracy, because that sometimes can be hard to click if you're not pinpointing the accurate click on the baneling. But that's not even something that applies to you right now. Literally, that's something that applies to like fucking 5,000 MMR or like 4,500 MMR. It's much later. It's like master's level. So for you, it's just getting comfortable with the keyboard, and then your mouse just clicks quickly. So quick mouse hand with a quick keyboard hand. It's like 10 times harder. It is fucking 10 times harder to be quick and accurate with your mouse than it is with your keyboard. Your keyboard is easy as fuck to be accurate with if you're really fast, and the reason why is because your keyboard is static, your mouse is not. Everything changes. So like for instance, if I'm gonna give you another example, okay? If I say, all right, I'm gonna need you right now to click 3 zealots in this example here, and don't fucking misclick. You're gonna be like, okay, and do it fast. You have 1 second. You're gonna be like, oh god, this is much harder than it seems. But if I go, I need you to build a fucking cannon, and you have 1 second, you're like, okay, B and C on the keyboard are not doing that in my fucking hand. They're not. This is what that's doing on your keyboard. It always is the same spot. If you're like, oh, B, C, the bottom left of the keyboard, it never moves. So it's just there. I can do it quickly. That can be accurate every time. All you have to do is get accurate with not looking at your keyboard and knowing where the keys are. Get comfortable with it, and that's where like Type Racer comes in. Literally, just test yourself.
Might just dump StarCraft and just try to do like GM
Type Racer. Yeah, do it, dude. That's my next plan. That's where my stream's going next year.
I love it. I know, like, or maybe gone a little bit over, so I don't know if
we're gonna do one more thing if you have time. I want to bounce out of this, and I want to give you an example build, because I know where you're kind of going with it, and I wanted to talk about your build more that game, but I kind of stopped just because literally it was way, like, the build was just fucking all over the place with what's happened with your scouting. So I want to break down. I'm gonna give you a breakdown of what it looks like and what you should aim for, essentially.
Love it. Thank you so much.
No worries, man. It's all good. All right, so I'll invite you back to the game. I just made a game really fast. There you are. Make you a spectator. Okay, so I'm gonna basically do a build that's like this.
Okay.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, sorry. You guys couldn't even see my screen. Shit, I had the full camera on. For that last bit. So they couldn't see the zealot example. Basically, all I did for the zealot example is I patrolled like 30 units going like this all over the place, and it looked like it was confusing as fuck to try to click 3 zealots, because it's moving. It's not a static environment. It's a reactive and mobile environment. Your keyboard is not. Your keyboard is a static piece of hardware on your desk that doesn't move unless you're having a fucking earthquake or something. So your hand will all if you have muscle memory to go hit the A key, you're gonna touch the A key. If you have static muscle memory to go click that zealot, that doesn't exist because it can change. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes left, sometimes it goes right, sometimes it goes any form of diagonal, sometimes it has speed, sometimes it doesn't have speed, sometimes it's affected by a snare, sometimes it's not affected by a snare, sometimes it's getting picked around in a prism, sometimes it's being sped up in a speed zone. So like it's never the fucking same. Sometimes it's under a bunch of Phoenix or something and you're like, okay, this is getting really complicated because it's a different environment every time. But your keyboard is always the same thing. That's the whole point of the example I was trying to give. So getting your keyboard hand really fast is very important to getting your mouse hand really fast. All you got to do with your mouse hand is try not to be OCD about being perfection. Don't be like line it up perfectly. Doesn't matter. Time is what matters. Seconds are what matters in StarCraft 2, not a perfect fucking right angle on something or something like that. Like that doesn't mean shit. The only time that matters is if you're making a wall.
I'm trying to make a dang wall.
Yeah, dude. Like if your base is like a piece of artwork, talk about a waste of time essentially. The only time anyone can make their base like artwork is if they're also really, really fast with their mouse and it doesn't slow them down. If you're not that fast, don't do that. Okay, so I'm going to make a drone first. I move my Overlord. I just moved it to the right spot. I'm now going to fix my mineral mining to go far patches, like the edge of my mineral line. So I have all the close mineral patches are the ones that are double saturated already. So I did all that in the first 10 seconds of the game.
Oh, you're doing 14-14?
I fucked that up.
Oh, it's all good. No,
now look at this. Watch. I'm gonna make a drone. I'm already gonna hold down. Or I made a gas, and while I made a gas, I was holding down make drone. The drone got made. I immediately canceled the gas, and fucking there we go. We're good to go again.
That's like episode Platinum 2 of Bronze GM.
Hell yeah, dude. Boom.
Classico.
Now we're gonna take a drone, go down to our natural.
Okay, real quick. What's a good time to send the drone if you're going 16 pool? Or not 16 pool, 16 hatch?
Yeah,
I always send mine at like 150 to 160.
Do like 180.
180?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
180 is roughly around when it's going to be like, you're going to get there right as you get the money. And that's
cool.
With, so a 17 is easy because you can do it with the two larvae that you make at the same time. You can just make one of them go make the fucking hatchery.
I'll do that against Terran.
Yeah.
I always do the two drones after the Overlord pops. One will go to the natural, and then I just make the third like right before the second one like finishes.
Also, another thing that pairs with what I was talking about, where it doesn't need to be perfect, is also your creep for Zerg. A lot of people like to always line it up on the edge of the creep every time. Who gives a shit? It's just about getting it down quickly. Because if you spread the tumors exactly when they need to be spread anyways, it doesn't do the full spread of the tumor and the time it takes for the tumor to cool down again. So you're gonna get still grids of creep still covered the whole time. A lot of people just play
spawning.
Or what's up? What's up?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, is that spawning pool placement right behind the gas significant? Or
no? I just threw it down. I didn't give a shit.
Okay, cool. I put mine like here just because it. Can you see the ding?
I can't see it in the game.
Okay, never mind. I'll put it maybe off the spot.
But your pool against Protoss, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's only one thing that matters where you place it, and it's not against a cliff that can get cannon rushed. If it's not there, it doesn't matter where you put it.
I saw a video you posted either today or the other day. You had like 60 drones by like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Like,
exactly.
How is that even possible?
Because I don't. It says you're not playing slow. You're like all I'm doing right now. This is, let me just listen to what I'm doing for a second, and I'll walk you through my actions. Okay.
Okay.
Inject, tumor, 5SD, 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 5S Overlord. As soon as I'm spamming SV, it spawned. 5SD, 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 SD, SD, SD. No larvas up. SD, SD, SD. It spawned. Okay, now I'm gonna look at my bases for a second. I'm gonna camera hockey my third. You don't have to do that, camera hockeys or whatever. I'm gonna put my queen back to my natural so that I can do inject. I am holding 5 SD right now. Overlord's about to spawn. It's about to spawn. It spawned. Inject. inject, make another Overlord, 5SD, 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 we're good. 5SD, 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 5SD. My next queen's up, let's make another tumor, spread that one, make another queen. My money is looking pretty good right now, let's get ready to take our third base. I need to make lings as well right now though, so let's make, my Overlord just died scouting as well. So we're gonna make another Overlord to replace the one that just died. We're gonna now saturate our gas back to full because we're at full saturation on the third. We're going to make 5SZ because we're going to make a few lings right now because we have speed. We need to scout. So we're holding down Z key on a bunch of our larvae and it's up. And now we're going to make inject, inject, inject. And we're going to go back into 5SD, 5SD, 5SD. We're going to make a layer. We're going to make a roach worm. And we're 5SDing our asses off non-stop. We're going to make another Overlord because we're getting close to supply blocking again. 5SV for Overlord. Back to 5SD, 5SD. Quickly click both third bases and his natural. Move all lings back with a new control group. So I shift clicked out 3 lings with 3 clicks really fast. Because I didn't care, just as long as they're in the area. I'm still 5SDing the whole time while I'm talking. I am hitting 5SD every like half second. Inject, 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 5SD, 5SD, 5SD. My third base has 8 drones on it. Let's grab new drones and now make a couple gases. New drones, make gases. Make gases.
New drones make
New
gases.
drones. I do not remember what I said.
Oh,
you do not ever.
Saw from. Okay.
Yeah, you don't. You try not to undersaturate your mineral lines that exist. Try to never let that happen. I can send another link to his natural. Shift one out. 5SD, 5SD, 5SD. Inject my bases. Spread some creep. Just click randomly, like rapidly, as fast as we can to throw a tumor down. 5SD, 5SD. Okay, now we look at our economy right now. 66 drones by 5 minutes. All I was doing was spamming 5SD, 5SD, 5SD. Now I'll saturate my gases.
Okay, wait, can we just stop for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Can you pause?
Yeah.
So this is sort of the point, before you took your gases, like this is the point where I'm just like, you know, I mean, I can't obviously get to this like sub 530, like 3 base full saturation, but like when I do get to this point, this is the part of the game where I'm like, I have no idea what to do now. Like it's like
that's why I'm sending
like,
lings out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So the lings should be telling you what to do. So if your lings are at his thirds, that gives you a lot of information. Because think about it like this: what have I done this game? I have saturated 3 bases. What else have I done? Almost nothing. I made a couple lings. I made like 12 lings or like 14 lings to be safe, essentially. That's it. I just made some lings to be there. But how long did it take me to make those lings? 1 quick round of larva and that was it. I did not make lings for 2 minutes or 1 minute or whatever. It was 1 quick round and I'm done. So what that means now is my overall investment for the last 5 minutes has been like 90% drones and like 10% lings. Like basically all drones almost. So if my opponent does not have a third base that even is not even started yet and mine's fully saturated, that means that I need to prepare myself for a guy who is invested into something else. Because think about it like this. What if I didn't have a third base that was fully saturated? And for the last, I could have saturated my main and my natural by like 3.5, 4 minutes. So the last 90 seconds of the game or so that has saturated my third base entirely, what would I have done instead if I hadn't been doing that? I guess the only option could have been I could have made roaches or I could have made more lings or something like that. I could have teched really hard to like really fast tech. So the answer would be, if my opponent doesn't have a third right now and he still hasn't attacked me yet, he is probably teching to something that is going to attack me with tech. Because if you think about it like this, if let's just say again, I am the one who saturated 2 bases and made army. Am I going to sit there in my base after I have 20 supply, 30 supply, 40 supply, 50 supply, 60 supply of army, if I'm not going to go with tech with it, if I'm not going to like advance the tech of it? The answer is probably no. It means that I should have been attacking my opponent because I'm all in on like hatchery based tech, and I should have been like walking out of my base with like 10 roaches and just flooding lings and roaches behind it. So that you would have already seen an attack coming at you with your lings. But if you're not, and then you could react by going, "Oh, you're attacking me? I will now make roaches because I have a roach warren." So I could switch gears into making army myself to now defend myself. But if my opponent is not going to attack me early on in the game, that's the Windows thing I was talking about. It's opportunity that has now gone. The opportunity for him to attack me with just straight up basic gateway units is over. Now, if it is gateway units, it's going to be evolved gateway units because they're going to have charge. They're going to have blink. They're going to have resonating glaives. It's going to be something with Stargate or whatever. Tech is going to be involved here. And if tech is involved here, then that's what that's what would make sense, because if he doesn't attack me early and he never expands to a third, what is he doing? He's teching to something to attack me with a tech timing. So if you're by the point when you're now like, oh, I have 3 bases saturated and my opponent still is on 2 bases, okay, and the time that it took me to saturate my third was a time where he teched up to something, so now he's making tech units, whereas I don't have the means to make tech units, but I can just make more units and overwhelm him. That's your advantage. You could react to a tech 2 base with a overpowering, overwhelming 3 base. So this would mean this is the perfect time to not take a 4th base in terms of drones. You can still take a 4th hatchery because it's literally like a barracks for Zerg. That's totally fine. But I would be like, never, ever, ever saturate a 4th base to like 80 drones and you have no fucking clue what your opponent's doing and he never even tries to take a 3rd base. If we're going to talk about how to break the game down strategically. If you're already up +1 fully saturated base over your opponent, ride that lead. Just take that lead and ride with it. And from that point on, you could still like send lings at his doorway to see what units he has in the doorway. That's humongous information. You could make an overseer and fly into his base if you had to. But generally speaking, if he is going to attack you with attack timing, he needs to do it soon. And again, this is a part where I'm going to say it in a way where I hope I can like enlighten you, where you're like, oh fuck, I never thought about it like that, or that makes a lot of sense. If your opponent is confusing you and you're like, shit, I'm feeling insecure right now because he's 2-basing it and he is even denying my scouts. So like all I see is like 3 stalkers on the edge of his base and I don't actually get to see inside of his base really. He's really good at denying scouts, but he doesn't have a third, and I do. Just know that every minute goes by, you're producing units at a rate that is like, he's producing like 2/3 of what you're producing. So if you make 30 supply, he makes like 20, or maybe even less, maybe more like 15, because he's investing into more expensive units as well. So he like it will turn into a situation where 1 minute beyond this, Protoss might be at 80 supply and you might be at 100. 2 minutes beyond this, Protoss might be at 94 supply and you might be at 120. A couple minutes, or like another minute beyond that, he might be at 105 and you might be at 155. So like your lead grows at a faster pace over him because you have more economy and more production in your build than he does, because he does not have the means to have the income of a 3rd base. So you produce at a faster pace.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole, that's, you know, the swarm, baby.
One approach I heard is bottom to top.
It's not even just because of Zerg. It's because of economy. And Zerg, the thing about Zerg though is Zerg has the means to build the economy faster than Protoss does. But because injects are the fastest way to build workers in this game. But if any race was in this position, if you're Protoss and you're like, okay, I'm on 3 bases with probes, and you're 2 bases Zerging me, what the fuck are you doing? That would be a moment where I'd be like, well, if he never attacked me with roaches and lings, okay, so that means he's not going to do a 2-base low-tech all-in. And even if he does, even if I'm like, oh, wait, he is, what the hell? He hit me 2 minutes after the fact that he should have hit me, and it's again with literally roaches, lings, and banes. I'd be like, this is the easiest fight of my life, because he wasted so much time and opportunity to attack me when I was vulnerable, taking a 3rd base and investing into that. And he waited until it was done, and I went into power mode of units, so I outproduced him. And then he pushes with fucking his pressure, but his supply is now worse than mine with worse units as well, because he waited to all in me. So it would be like, does that make sense? Like that would be the worst attack ever. Even if they are doing it, it's like, it'd be like a fucking mosquito at your face. You'd be like, okay, slap my cheek and it's fucking dead, and I don't even care. Like I did more damage to myself than you did to me at this point.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And then, so it would kind of rule out the possibility of that happening because he missed the window for it to be relevant. So then it means if the Zerg is on 2 base and the Protoss is on 3 base and the Protoss has a lead and the Protoss is like, well, if I have more economy, why do I have to attack you? I don't really. I'll just absorb what you do when you eventually do it. It means that the Zerg is going to tech, and the Protoss would then have to be like, what kind of tech is scary right now? And if you make something that is well-rounded, which is what Hydras are for Zerg. Hydras are very well-rounded. And so the Protoss version could be like Blink Stalkers or something. You could be like, well, no matter what, if it's Lurkers, if it's like 2-base Hive and like some weird fucking Ultra tech or Broodlord tech that has like a one and only push and that's it, which is super awkward. If it's Swarm Host, if it's Infestors, whatever if it's Mutas, whatever it may be, if I just make Stalkers at a much faster pace than you're making your tech unit, I will kill you. The same can be said about you if you make Roaches initially into, like, if it's going to be a push of, like, Zealots with Charge or some shit, and then you go into, like, Hydras. Ultimately, once you're on Hydras, everything is irrelevant. If it's Stargate, it's irrelevant. If it's Colossus, it's irrelevant. If it's fucking any gateway unit, it's irrelevant. If it's Immortals, it's irrelevant. And the reason why all of it's irrelevant is because what I want you to do with your build, which is what I kind of want to go into from this point on, I want to resume it in a second here and give you the rest of it. Just go Hydraling Bane like you want to. Be aggressive if you want. And if your opponent texts some supreme in-game shit like a Colossus or something, just add in Lurkers. And then you just burrow them when the fight's about to start, and you have zero problems ever to deal with the Protoss. Or you can just overpower with Lingbane Hydra. That also would work.
For sure. I also, I mean, I know, like, time-wise, I don't want to, like, go into another tangent, but I feel like I get, like, monkey brain, where I'm just like, let's stay at, like, tier 2 forever. You know? Like, I guess forgetting to tech up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, caveman fighting, what's it called? Like, you know, spaceships.
Yeah. So, it's... This is, I think you're in the realm of player that is the hardest thing to teach people, which is understanding how to be comfortable in the game. And there is nothing uncomfortable about having an economy advantage over your opponent while scouting them. Because if you have an economy advantage, you should really feel that every second that goes beyond that, you're the one with the lead, not your opponent. So, because a lot of people like to always overanalyze and overthink what their opponent is capable of doing. And they go, okay, well, I don't know what my opponent's doing. So every second that goes by, I feel like I'm closer to death. Like, I'm gonna die. Like, who fucking knows what's gonna kill me?
Yeah.
But
it's the doomsday clock.
Yeah, but the thing is if you understand the concept of, if you're on 3 bases and your opponent's on 2 bases, so simply scouting his 3rd base is all we've really done. And we try to look at the wall, but the main thing we care about is looking at his 3rd. If your opponent sits on 2 bases and you're on 3 bases and 4 minutes goes by and you're like, I don't know what's going on, suddenly you're at 200 supply and your opponent's at 130. Who gives a fuck what he's doing? You have the biggest advantage of all, which is a juicy army. And on top of that, you have a bank that is developing to remax another army. Like, your opponent has to climb a massive uphill battle. The worst thing you can do in StarCraft 2 to really feel like you're actually behind and it's actually real is you don't scout and you don't expand. People who do that are the ones who are genuinely behind. But if you scout for expansions and you always maintain a lead of expansion, you're never behind. Ever.
Right on. That makes sense.
Because you produce faster than your opponent. And if you just always follow the simple rule of, if your opponent is only on a certain number of bases, it doesn't matter what the number is. If they're on 2 bases, if they're on 1 base, if they're on 3 bases, as a Zerg player, you can get away with going to +1 over their base and then go full army mode. If you do that, you will fucking crush Protoss over and 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 over. Especially if you're making Hydras, which can kill air and ground.
Cool. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna resume it. Actually, can I? Oh, wait, I'm not even tabbed in. Okay. Okay, so now I'm fully saturated, and I'm going to now take a 4th base because we're fully saturated. We can now also shift gears into, you know, like I said before, going into like Roaches, for instance. And let's just say, let's say you're worried, okay? You're like, I know he's not going Stargate because he didn't open Stargate. He opened Robo or he opened Council. And I'm worried about literally a fucking, whatever it's called, a round timing of Protoss to kill me. I just want to show you if you do something like this, like look what's happening right now. Like I'm getting attacked by some weird ground timing. Like it's whatever. But if I'm already in the roach phase, you're gonna start powering up so fast. And all again to walk you through what I'm doing. 5SR, 5SR, R, R, 5SR, R, 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 5SR. Every time I spin the larva, I hit 5SR. When the larva still exists, I hit 5SR. So if I'm selecting an egg, I can't just hit SR. I have to hit 5 again, right? But I'm just making 5 make roaches, hatcheries make roaches, hatcheries make roaches. And that's it. And I just took a fight. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. But my supply is going to ramp up super duper 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 fast. And behind this, you can even be like, you know what I want to do? I want to make hydras, and I want to make banelings. I want to eventually go into Hydra Bane, but I'm scared that I'm going to die to this guy who is on his council tech, and he still hasn't attacked me yet. Let's just say he still hasn't taken a third yet, okay? And you're like, I could definitely get attacked by a third. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm getting nervous. I would be like, there is no reason to be nervous because we have 3 bases. Our opponent has 2 bases. We're maintaining that 1 base lead. And you're just cranking out roaches. You could even take your Hydra upgrades. And you could even take your Bane upgrades. But you're still cranking out roaches. You're still spreading creep while you're injecting your hatcheries, and you're still making roaches. And before you know it, you're about to be maxed out around 7 minutes. Because you have the ridiculous power of a good economy compared to your opponent. Like, Zerg has the ability to max ridiculously fast, and if you're like, okay, let's get ready to push, you're like throwing some Ravagers in there, and you're basically maxed out. Like, things can happen, things can develop for Zerg extremely fast if you just stay on top of your larva. And then if you were to be like, my opponent still hasn't attacked me, and we're like at 8 minutes now, what the hell is he doing? I'm maxed. The Protoss at this point would be like at 90 supply or like 110 supply or something in that range. And if you show up here with a 200 supply of army of roaches, even if this army dies, look at my bank while having a maxed army. I could be like, we'll immediately remax into Hydralisk Baneling. And this army would be a bitch for Protoss to hold.
This was someone's I remember watching a video about it. This was like a build from like a pro, right? Like a while back.
Stefano, Roach Max?
Yeah.
Not exactly, but similar. Like the concept of making mass roaches, yes, was what his build was, but I didn't do the build exactly the way he does it. It's just all this is that you have to understand, because the reason why it's not his build is because it's way too much fucking gas. Because Ravagers didn't exist back then. But all you gotta understand is efficiency, and believe me or not believe me, anyone out there, you want to know the trick or the answer? There's 2 things about this as to why I was able to pull off like a 5-minute 70 drone timing and a 7-minute max out, and it's because, and that's still while I got Hydra upgrades and a Baneling Nest and Zergling speed and Zerglings and all these things. And the reason why is because of it's 2 reasons. Number 1, I respected the larva, and every time something spawned, I spent it. Why is that important? The reason why that's important is because larva inject is only 50% of your larva, and larva inject is something you will never fuck up unless you just don't inject your hatcheries. But larva inject stacks all the way up to the point to when you have like 19 larvae on a hatchery or something like that. It's a lot. But larva inject's easy. That's the easy part. The hardest part about your larva is the other 50% of all larvae, which is automated larva spawning, which is the exact same value as a larva inject. A lot of people don't know that the amount of time that it takes for a larva inject to spawn, that then spawns 3 larvae, is the exact same amount of time that 3 larvae, 1 by 1 by 1, will automatically spawn out of the hatchery. So in 1 larva inject, you should be theoretically getting 6 larvae. And if you don't spend your larva and you do what, like if you're not even maxed and your larva looks like what mine does right now, where you have like 5, 6, 7, 8 per hatchery, your larva is going to be garbage. Because the reason why is because when you're at 3 larvae, as soon as you hit 3 larvae on a hatchery, your hatchery stops automatically spawning larvae. It just literally, it like stops production. And it never gets that time back. So if you don't catch a larva inject right as it spawns, or if you're not catching larvae as they spawn and maximizing them, you're going to cap repeatedly, and you're going to waste a shitload of time in the game to make everything slower. The second reason, so that's just the first reason, just making sure your larva is flowing properly. That's the most important one. The second most important one is understanding that my army that I made and all my stuff that I made is a mineral priority, so I did not prioritize the gas. And this concept, hopefully this makes sense. The army that I made right here in his base, that's the roaches and ravagers. If I started mining gas as I started making this army, so if I started mining, if I'm starting at 0 larva on the hatchery and I just started an inject and it started spawning larva, so it's like basically like picture like you just made a bunch of drones, for instance, and now you're switching gears to go into roaches and you're starting from 0 larva, and it's going to start, though, your larva is going to start getting crazy because all the larvae you get from now on is going to go into overlords and roaches. If you, as a Zerg player, start mining gas when you start making military units like roaches, you will have way more than enough gas to afford all of it, and with a lot of excess, because roaches are really cheap on gas. If you start making hydras, you have more than enough gas to start maintaining production out of your hatcheries if you start mining gas as you start making hydras. You mine gas at a rate that is faster than you can spend it out of your automatic larva by making hydras or roaches. A lot of Zergs don't think about it like this. A lot of Zergs think about larva, or rather their tech units, as they go, well, I'm going to go layer now, so let's take 4 gases before I even start my layer, and then I'll go into a layer and I'll get hydras started when I have 1,000 gas, and then I'll start making hydras after that. And again, even then, you're still mining gas faster than you can spend it. Like, you can't spend gas fast enough, so that's where like things like upgrades come in. That's why you can still afford to tech. So I can afford to add in speed, range, +1 armor, +1 missile weapons, and so on and so on. It's because you mine gas faster than you can spend it. Because the larva cannot surpass the gas. The only way this would ever make sense would be if you had like 2 macro hatches and you have 5 hatcheries for like 3 base economy. Then yes, you could probably then spend your resources faster than your larva, or like your larva would be in surplus, so you could spend your money faster than you can generate it. But if you're on 1 hatchery per base, that's it, no macro hatches, you generate money faster than you can spend it if you're making anything off of the hatchery tech or the layer tech, with the exception of like an infestor. That's like the only unit that you can't afford because it's way too much gas. That unit is ridiculous on the gas. But again, we're not even using infestors, so who cares? Does that make sense, Vox?
Yeah, dude.
So I know I went on a rant there, but yeah.
No, it's all good. I embrace the rants.
So,
tangents are great.
Yeah. But that's very real. So like having a gas, because I didn't really explode my gas until I was already basically fully saturated in every base. Like I didn't even start my gases 2 and 3 until I already had 8 drones on the 3rd, and I still, again at that point, had like another 10 drones in production.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's especially if you're going for a speedling opening, the importance of minerals, really, until even like I guess the mid game is really when you take all of your gases. Yeah You don't take your gases like you take gas 1 when you're at like 18 supply, so it's like the 16, 18, 17 shit, and you do not take gases 2 and 3 until you're around like 50 supply or like 55, and you take gases 3 or 4, 5, and 6 around 68 to like 74 supply. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I guess it's just such a stark contrast between the other 2 races, where like I feel like everybody else just takes your gas so much. Well, I mean, because the units. But I know we went very long, so I want to say thank you so much for everything, especially this.
I just want to make sure you understand all that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Definitely, I guess money's worth if you want to talk about that. But thanks for the thanks for the Bronze to GM series. Like, thanks for like everything, man. It's like super cool. It's like, you've definitely helped out a lot of people, especially me included, obviously. But thanks a lot. It makes the game like a lot more like accessible, I think, for like people who, especially like right now when like real-time strategy is just like garbage. No, or not garbage, but like
I understand.
there's not really
there's no
there's
new
not really a
games or
whole
anything.
lot going on. You know,
Yeah.
the Fortnites and shit.
Yeah, I got you. It's just been kind of like forgotten. It's just like remastered
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So
right.
Thanks again, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot.
One last thing I want you to do, okay? Because I want you to feel like, you know, like I want you to have something to like build on. Because we did a lot of theory in this lesson. I want you, if you can, or if you want to, make sure you save the replay the example I just gave you, and try to like literally use it as a reference, and try to literally hit as many drones as I do. Just go for that. You don't have to play against a real person. Just do it in a game like against an AI, and just try to start feeling the difference. Because, like, the reason why, like, the final thing I'll tell you is there is so many things I could talk about with the game I saw, the replay we looked at, of things being like, fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that, fix this. But if you just fix your build, which is like even before the adepts attacked you and like killed a bunch of drones and shit, your build is already falling off a bit because you made lings, you never scouted, you made a bunch of gas early, and those two things are massive like no-nos. And you also sometimes let your larvae sit. These things fuck you like crazy, as I was trying to like really focus on talking about there. But if you can do, like, if you watch the replay I just created there up to like 6 minutes, and you go, okay, can I do what he can do here? Am I capable of just like doing like how I was talking? It was like 5SD, 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 make a creep tumor, 5SD, 5SD, 5SD. If you can do that, make that a habit, and you get comfortable like moving your hand on the keyboard, and you don't have to like look at it and shit like that, and you're just like, you're crushing it, and you like start getting just really comfortable just doing things fast with the keyboard hand. I already know that if you can do a standard build like I just gave you there, it's just like make a roach warren, make all your drones, follow it up with a hydro baneling nest, and you can switch from the roaches into hydroling bane. That's all it is. You can just make it that simple, and then fucking attack someone repeatedly with maxed armies of hydroling bane. But it's not about army. It's about how you max it and how you macro it. If you can do that, success like everywhere for you. Lots of positive things.
I just want to be Diamond 3. That's all I want in my life. I can just I'll uninstall the game after Diamond 3.
Nothing. If you want to be Diamond, nothing matters but your macro. I'm dead serious.
I know.
And your macro is
fucking
super off in that game we watched.
Yeah, it was garbage. Like I said, a move garbage, you know?
So, but like the good thing is the macro in StarCraft 2 is very similar to like all the examples I was trying to explain to you, which is like the easy things. Like the harder part about StarCraft is definitely the micro. The easier part about StarCraft is the macro. And if you just understand the concept of this, macro fast, max out, kill newest expansion. Macro fast, max out, kill newest expansion. Fucking do that over and over and over, and you will win repeatedly.
Yeah, it's what's it called? The like the rhythm of Zerg, you know?
Yeah, and
it's like,
don't freak out too. Like for instance, when I was watching that game, it wasn't even just like I was watching your build. When I was watching your opponent's build and I was expecting more, I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, his build is already like 3 minutes behind where it should be for no reason. And it's because his build is just inefficient. And the funny thing is it's easier to tell that for like when you glance at it and you're like, what the fuck? This Protoss's build looks terrible. Doesn't look very good. It's got like, it's way less than it should be. It's the same thing for Zerg, but it's a lot more concealed for Zerg because it's about larva that's missing that should exist. And it's because of things like you're not spinning it efficiently enough because you're taking too much gas too fast. And you're just not spinning it as well as you should be. So you're missing out on the automated larva and all that shit.
Right on. Well, hey,
right, man.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. I appreciate it a lot. Seriously, thank you so much. This has been great. You know.
No worries.
Fantastic.
All right, man. Well, good luck. I hope it helps.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
hey, man. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right,
God bless. Bye.
Later, man. All right, guys. That was a pretty long lesson. My bad. I know that was a super long lesson. Yo, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next video, in the next coaching lesson, replay analysis, whatever it is. But I hope anyone out there got some information from this, and you know, Vox included. Again, this one was super theory. And Vox, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs at the end of this, man. Much love. Thank you to everyone who supported as well during it. I know I kind of skipped through them because I just didn't want the bot to speak over it. But guys, thanks for watching. Hope it helps you. Good luck in your own games. And I will see you guys in the next one. Good luck. I'm repeating myself. Peace. See you guys. Later.